On October 12th, 2017, I linked DJI my video to get DJI Care Refresh, meaning they saw my YouTube channel. On December 31st, 2017, I uploaded a video. In it, I added a sphere 360 panorama to drone shot. It kind of resembles the Asteroid Quickshot seen on the Mavic Air. Coincidence? I think not. I'm just kidding, it was probably a coincidence. Anyways.
Okay, so being that it looks like they did not add the new QuickShots to the Mavic Pro and the Mavic Pro Platinum, I will show you how I make the Asteroid QuickShots myself manually. So the trick about this is, once you've taken the panorama, you don't want to move until you're exactly sure on the angle you want to go. So to make sure that I don't overexpose it, I'm just going to switch to manual. So now what I'm going to do is do a 360 pano. So I'm going to press on camera, switch to photos, and go down to panorama and sphere. So I'm just going to press it and make sure I'm in focus here, and it's going to take the photos. Okay, so now I have the little planet captured. So what I'm going to do now is, without changing the exposure, I'm going to look down at where I want to go. So I'm going to do the exact one that they do. So I'll just come, I better stay here because that's where I was in the pano. So all I'm going to do is face the drone directly where I want it to go. I'm going to press record. And now, without moving to the sides, in a smooth motion, downwards and forwards towards exactly where you want to go, you just fly towards it. Now I'm going to go in and show you how to put this together to make it look like how DJI did it. So let's do that now.
So once you've taken your 360 panorama sphere, you then want to get it onto your computer. So you can do this either by taking it straight from your drone onto your whatever device you're using, or what I like to do is just put all the photos onto my computer and use software like Microsoft Image Composite software to just stitch them together, and then I can choose how much quality I want, how many megapixels I want the photo to be, so that it doesn't lag out my editing software. So pretty much once you get it into Image Composite software, if that's the route that you want to go, you just select all the photos from your drone's panorama folder, put them into the Image Composite software, and just press a simple panorama. Now it's going to load and stitch them all together for you, so you just wait for that. Once they have stitched together, all you want to do is go down to spherical and just drag up, and it would turn it into a little world. And then all you're going to want to do is just crop it to size and then press export. So once you have your panorama stitched, you're going to want to go in and find your video as well as the panorama. I have both of my panoramas saved here. This was the big 96 megabyte one, and this was the 31. So I'm going to drag it onto my timeline. And then I'm going back to there, and I'm going to grab the video as well. Okay, so now that they're both on my timeline, what you're going to want to choose is whether you want it to go from the panorama to the video or the video to the panorama. I'm going to choose to do it from the panorama to the video, but if you do it the other way, just do everything backwards. So the first thing you're going to want to do is trim the video to where the drone starts moving towards or away from. And then you're going to want to delete it so that they sit flush. So as you can see, it goes from there and then the drone starts moving. So this doesn't look very good. So what you're going to want to do is line up these two frames from the start of the video and either the end or the start of the panorama. So to do this, you're going to turn on keyframes on the panorama. So position, scale, and rotation. Now this is going to be different for everyone, but really what you're going to want to do is just make it so that the two frames line up. So I'm going to do this now. So everyone's is different, like I said, so just do the best you can to make them look as similar as possible, and I will be right back. Okay, so there we go. So they're looking pretty similar there. I'll put the playback and pause resolution to 1/8 so you can see it a bit better, and they are pretty close. But since this is a panorama and this is a video, this one has more of an arc to it. So what we can do to make this transition much smoother so it doesn't just go from a curved frame to a straight one is to add lens distortion. So I have it searched here. You just go into effects and search it, or you can go into video effects and then distort, and you're just going to want to drag it onto your video. Once it's on, you're going to want to turn on keyframes for horizontal decentering. So once you have them on, when you change this, you can see it kind of distorts it the same way that it distorts it for the panorama. So if I distort it down a bit more, maybe -5 or so, it all depends on your video. For me, I'm going to use about -4, I think. But as you can see, it has these bars because it pulled the video down. So you have to crop in a bit more. So if you turn on scale, you can zoom in. And the cool thing about this is, once you reset everything, it adds kind of a dolly zoom effect to your video, which is kind of cool. So if we zoom in there, so there we go. So they're pretty close now, and there's a bit of a warp to both videos now, as you can see. You could even add more if you really wanted to. Just whatever it takes to make them look as similar as possible. I think I'll go back and I'll just perfect this a bit, make it as close as I can. You should do the same. I can't really talk you through yours, as everyone's will be different, but you want to get them looking pretty similar. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do to add the movement to the panorama, like they do in the Dji Mavic Air QuickShot, is you're going to want to add keyframes. So we're going to want to put on position, scale, and rotation once again. And what I like to do is just reset them all, so it goes back to the big picture. And if we play this back, I'll just scrub through here, you can see it kind of gets that movement to it. But if we look at the QuickShot again here, when it comes out, there's a bit of distortion. So it just kind of speeds up all of a sudden and almost just launches out like that. So right there, it speeds up and it kind of distorts and gets bigger like that, and then the bars come in. So what we can do to do this, to replicate this in Premiere, is add lens distortion once again. And I would once again recommend bringing down the quality so it doesn't lag out too much, because it's a large picture, and if you don't have a really good computer, then it's not going to load very fast for you. So what you can do with lens distortion on here is, if you change the curvature, add a keyframe at the very start, and if you change the curvature, as you can see, that makes the panorama bigger. So now with the curvature at 100, you can tell that there's a lot more of the little planet being displayed, but it added these bars because it's pretty much just stretching out the picture. So what we're going to have to do is just bring the scale down, bring it into about 110, and with the rotation we should be able to keep it in the frame. But in the DJI one, it doesn't just go in, it kind of spins around. So at our very first keyframe, I'm actually going to bring everything back over to here. I'll extend this out. Now make a new keyframe here. And in it, I will keyframe the same 3 things. We don't really need rotation, but I'll just put it there. And we will get rid of the curvature. Put it back to 0. And now we will zoom out. Okay, so there. So at about 50 for me, that looks pretty good. I might bring it up just a tad so we can get these trees in the frame. Now with it right there, if we watch this, you can see it zooms in and goes in. But what we want, for one, is to keep that curvature out so that you can't see it warping. So we're right about there. I'm going to add the keyframe, bring that over to there, so that it then, right after it gets into the frame, then it warps out so that it's less noticeable. Basically, when you're playing around with all this, you can just get it to wherever you want it, because there's many different ways that you can go about doing this. But even with the lens distortion, there's many different ways that you can use it. So as you can see, the way I'm using it, it's more of a, it's bending. So I could probably have it come out right there, and it'll kind of distort it like how it does in the video here. You can see it kind of distorts as it comes out. So this one with the lens distortion should replicate that pretty well. And where you put the keyframes and how much distortion you add it all depends on what kind of a video you're looking for. And as you can see there, it kind of warped into it. So I'm probably going to add that there. And then by the time that you get back to where you're going back into the video, you're going to want to put another keyframe to put it back to 0 so that your frames match up again. So if I put a keyframe here, just press that, and as you can see, the frames are very close to the same again. So that's what we want. And like I said before, this adds almost like a dolly zoom effect. So it's kind of cool. And then as you can see, warps and goes in. So once again, I think I'm going to make these a bit closer so that the effect is much quicker, so that it's more of a zoom from the panorama into the video. So I have to move all my keyframes over, and like I said before, you can do, it all depends on what kind of a video you want, and what I'm doing here might not work for you, maybe it will. So it all depends on how you want to do it. You can take what I'm saying and make it your own. You can put the keyframes where you want them and the percents of lens distortion and everything. Just make it how you want it to be, because everyone's is going to be different. So I'm just going to work on mine a bit here, and I will be back in a second once I have it how I like it. Okay, so now I have the movement of the panorama looking pretty good. I like how it goes. It's not exactly how the DJI does it, how they do it in the Mavic Air, but I kind of like the way this looks, so I did it this way. So it's kind of a fast spin, and then it goes in, and then it whips around to that. So I might tweak that a tiny bit more before the end. If so, it's just little tweaks here and there, so you can do it however you like, just to get that movement a bit smoother, so it's kind of zooming in at the same pace the whole time. But other than that, I like it. So the last step to this is speed ramping. So what we're going to do is speed up the video. So to do that, I'm going to use time remapping, but you could also just cut the video. It's just not going to be as smooth. But if you use speed remapping, it's going to look better, but it's going to be a pain if you have to change anything else, because once you have changed the time remapping, you cannot change the position or anything. It kind of doesn't work well that way. So if you have anything you want to change on your video and you're going to use time remapping rather than cutting it and changing the speed of each clip, then make sure that you've changed everything to your liking in it in the way of transformations. But once you've done that, if you want to time remap it, that's what I'm going to do. You can put a keyframe for time remapping right at the start, and we can zoom in here in the timeline. Right click on your clip, show clip keyframes, time remapping, speed. Bring up your clip so that you can see what's happening. So first, right where I want my clip to stop, I'm going to bring down the horizontal decentering back to normal, so it's there, so everything goes unmorphed. As you can see, it goes back to normal. Kind of a cool effect in itself. And then I'm going to time remap it, so I'm going to keyframe right there and drag it out to where I want it, which is about there. So I want it to be slowed down when it gets to about there, and I like the look of it when you bring this back so that it just all of a sudden just slows down. And I'm going to bring this up to a very high speed, probably 1000%. So there we go. So that's looking pretty good right there. And then you can just cut off the end of your clip if you don't want that. And we pretty much have our finished product now. So I'm probably going to tweak it a bit more, and then I will show you on the screen right now what it looks like finished. During the transitions, you can just go into effects and either search or just go into video transitions, dissolve, and use cross dissolve. Just put it where your clips change, and just bring it down to really short like that. That might even be too much there, so if I zoom in, bring it down just so it's like 2 frames. And I know it doesn't look like it does much, but it will. Once it's in full quality, it'll look better. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that DJI maybe adds this feature straight to the Mavic Pro at some point, because that would be a lot simpler. But for now, I think this is your best bet if you want to get an asteroid shot without going out and buying a Mavic Air. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.